we're still meeting by Zoom. So I'd like to say thank you to once again to everyone that is joining in with us, and hope that you were able to get out and safely vote today. It's election day, so my red shirt's kind of reflecting off this morning. I tried to make sure that I was all set for election day this year. So we will get started. Doug is going to be a little bit late today. And Ms. Keisha, I'll ask you, do you have any comments or questions or anything from anyone before we start?
No. The only question that was asked after I posted the agenda was, were we doing a public hearing on the Mill Street? And I told them, no, it wasn't a public hearing, just to kind of discuss it and keep it on the front burner.
That is correct. There will be no reading of the second reading of the ordinance tonight, nor will there be a public hearing that will be advertised as such. And Mr. Bennell asked if that be tabled or deferred, and I think he wanted to try, if we could, to wait until it went in-house. But we do want to keep that on the front burner along with a few other things. Do you know if Chief Jolly has joined in with us yet?
He has not. He said it'll probably be closer till 7 before he's on, but so he should be here shortly.
Okay. And in that case, we'll just kind of start at the top. Aaron, I don't think is going to be with us this evening. He is feeling better. He contacted the doctor's office yesterday and got some medication, so he's on the mend and is hoping to be back at work very soon. He wanted to put on there to change the water cutoff time, and what has prompted this was the fact that we had so many water cutoffs lately, they can't get it done from the 12 o'clock noon hour on the 23rd. So he was wanting to ask the council to consider changing that time to give more time for it. And you may want to defer that until he's here to talk about it. I don't think it's probably that big a deal. The only thing that I would suggest is if you change it, we have new cards printed up, because that time is printed on the card when that happens. And we have to refer to that card and that data quite often.
Yeah, he's just wanting to change it for them to start like around 8 or so instead of 12. That way it'll give them more time to get the cutoffs done and then also get the reconnects for the ones that pay once they're cut off.
Okay. Does anyone want to put that on the agenda to move it forward?
Yes, I do. That's fine.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the update on the pumping station water line. They had the pre-construction hearing yesterday, or the meeting about that, and they are going to start on construction on August the 17th. And according to the contract that has been signed with them, they have 30 days to complete that project. However, they feel like it will only take about 2 weeks. So that's where we stand on that as of now. Any other questions on that one? Okay, hearing none, the street paving quotes, Aaron has still been working on those. Although I've had a couple of other calls from citizens, I did have a email yesterday from Colin Campbell on Henry Harris Road that said he was requesting that if you didn't pursue the resurfacing of Old 31E, that he would suggest that you go ahead and include the city's portion of Henry Harris Road in that, because it's in such bad shape. and I told him I would pass that along to you.
Yeah, I got a comment, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
You know, when we opened those bids, to me, there was a lot of confusion of what we were really talking about. And since then, I've talked to Mr. Leith, Andy Leith from Greenlead, and I asked him about Mr. Heathcote, and he said there are more utilities, and Andy is very busy right now. Andy recommended that that we contact Caldwell Engineering, Dwayne Caldwell. He's a Westmoreland graduate, an engineer there in Hendersonville, and I'd just like to have somebody helping Aaron to evaluate this stuff. There could be some places where we need to do some ditching or look closer. If you looked at East Border Street, that's going to take a lot of thought, I think, to do that. So he said he would be glad to work with us on that. I just, from my perspective, I'd like to see if we can get agreement on this, that you and Aaron would go ahead and contact Mr. Caldwell, and I'm sure it's not going to be a lot of money, just to let him make sure our bids are right. They're bidding apples and apples. I think we need somebody to kind of help Aaron out on that. I'm going to give you one example. Now, this has been a while back when North First Street was paved. I remember talk around town that they ran low of pavement. So if you ever notice, the pavement gets real weak after you pass the lodge hall going towards the end of the road there. And again, I just think we need somebody to look to help Aaron to evaluate this and make sure we're getting the bang for our buck.
Okay, I will go ahead.
I agree with Tony. We need an engineer to look at it, but since we've already started out with Heathcote, Mayor, don't you think you could contact them and see if they had anybody in their firm that was kind of an expert on the paving bit instead of us going with somebody else at this point? That's my thought.
Actually, Heathcote was not involved in that. He's been doing our water and sewer. The parks, drainage and streets and all were part of Greenlead's. So, but at Andy's suggestion on that, I'll be happy to contact Caldwell Engineering and see what we can get done on it. GMC was the one that done the first study for us, with Jimmy Hires.
Right. Yeah, I'll send you Dwayne's phone number, Mayor.
Okay. We're going to skip down right now. We've always put Mark off to the end. We're going to move Mark to the front this time. Mark, are you able to hear us this time? And now we know who G8DMQ is.
I don't know who I am, but I think I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Was he your mystery? Was he your mystery person?
I don't know. I guess Mr. Bradley let him in.
Okay.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you.
And we'll say welcome to Doug too. We appreciate you being able to make it when you could. We understand there's a lot going on.
Curiosity got the best of me. I had to let him in, see who he was.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, Chief Jenkins, you've got a lot. We've got to make up for last month when we weren't able to hear you, or we wanted to discuss where you had requested the radio fund be put back, radio funding money be put back for the next 10 years for you, and then you've got your regular report for us also.
Yes, I sent everybody out the regular report for July. So let's see. All right, we'll ignore that. The long-term expense for the fire truck, I guess, is what we need to talk about. I've got some quotes and they're a lot higher than what I was expecting them to be. Like $100,000 higher. So,
Whoa.
yeah, the cheapest quote really that I have for a rescue truck, and it's not anything fancy, is $383,000. So the last time we bought anything new, I guess you would say, besides the ladder truck, which we got on a grant, was 2006. So even with what we're doing now, we're still going to have to add to it to be able to get even what we need. Does everybody kind of understand that?
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Hey, for those of us who don't know, can you explain what all a rescue truck entails? I know a ladder truck, but just kind of give me a breakdown of what a rescue truck is.
Well, a rescue truck has, of course, all your rescue equipment. What we've been training on, we're trying to train on some special operations stuff. So if anything happens in the county, everybody's going to Hendersonville. If it floods, they're going to station camp. So we've got people swiftwater trained. We've got people rope rescue trained. And we're trying to kind of up our game in that so that we won't just be up here, you know, twiddling our thumbs. So all that kind of equipment is what goes on a rescue truck. And of course, our main objective with that is vehicle extrication. And we have to carry all the cribbing. The difference in a fire truck is the compartmentation won't carry all of that type of equipment. It's different things that you need on a rescue scene than you need on a fire scene. Because you got to have hose and water. Rescue truck will have a tank and we'll have a pump because you're required to have water on a rescue, on a vehicle rescue. So.
Okay.
Would the county tote some of this bill too, or just us?
Well, they're giving us, if we get it again this year, they're giving us the $24,000. Now they had some extra money this year. So they called me the other night. First, you know, I just kind of heard about it off the cuff and they gave me a call. They was meeting on it. So they asked if we needed any money. So I said, sure, we do. I think it was a little over 100,000 maybe they had. And they split some of this up. They split a lot of it up. And we got, we're supposed to be getting 17,250. And that's where I'm looking to replace our extrication equipment with the new equipment, which is battery operated, which is a lot better and a lot versatile, and you can use it. You know, you don't have to carry the hoses and a pump and all that. Of course, we'll have to put some money with it, and that's what I was going to use that $12,000 for. That's budgeted this year. Was going toward that extrication equipment. So if we can get that from the county this year, then plus they're giving us the $24,000 a year. So I don't know about asking for any more from them. I don't know. We can look at it and definitely put some of that toward it. That's for sure.
Do we have any idea when we will hear from the Safer grant?
No, not really. It'll be within a year though, most of the time.
Hey, Mark. Mark,
Yes.
so we have a rescue truck now. It's just old and out of date. Is that correct?
Yes. It's a 2001. We did buy it used. I think in 2010, I think. If I'm thinking right, 2010 or 2012. And it's getting to where it's needing a lot of repairs. We spent a lot of money on it, probably $8,000, $10,000 this year.
Was it the motor or the pump or what's giving you your most trouble?
It was the front end, the steering, and then the motor.
So did you get the motor rebuilt or?
No, we just had oil leaks, and that power steering pump was like $1,000, or the power steering gearbox, it was like $1,000. And then we spent $2,500 on something I can't remember right off. It was something under this front end. I think it was the compressor, the air compressor. So it's just been a lot of little things, along. And it really hit us hard this year.
So this 383,000 is for a brand new one,
Yes,
2020?
yes.
Okay, but the reason that I was asking about the Safer grant, Mark, is that was 2 employees or 3?
There was 2. That was 2.
Okay, because I just wanted to remind the council when that takes effect, within, I think it's 2 years or 3 years, then the city has to fund those positions fully. I think for first year, it's the grant pays 75%, and then it reduces from that. And then the third year, the city takes over.
Well, I think it's 2 years, you'll pay the same, and it won't cost city but about, I think, around $20,000 a year. And then after that, you will pay the 75% of it. The third year. So the fourth year, you'll have to take it over completely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So these other numbers you're quoting to us, Mark, the 17,250, the 12,000, 24,000, is that money that you would need to spend to get that rescue truck up to where it needs to be? Am I misunderstanding something?
No, that 17,000 was to replace the rescue equipment.
Okay.
The jaws, the cutters, the ram, and 2 new stabilizing jacks.
So this 383,000, that don't include it equipped out.
No, sir, no. But we would already have the equipment for it. So as far as the rescue part, there wouldn't be any expense on the equipment.
How long does it take to get a truck? You have to take a year to get it, Mark, or?
Probably right at it right now. It would probably take a year.
So do we already have some money in a fire engine fund?
A little bit, and I'm not sure. I didn't check on really. I think it's since the mayor's come into office, he started putting the 5,000 in there. So if it's been 3 years, then we've got 15,000. That sounds right, but I'm not sure on that.
Well, he's been in 6 years, hadn't he?
No, this is the last time.
Yeah, I put it in the first budget and it's been varying amounts anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000. But it was my understanding that there's a possibility first year or two, it didn't get set aside in the fund. So I guess it's just in the general fund floating around.
Yes, it should have been put over into the fire fund and earmarked as that, but
So when did it start going over there?
see, that's what I can't remember.
Do you know, Mayor?
That may be the 3 years that he was talking about, because we got to asking questions one time about how much was in it, and no one knew at that point. So that's when it was realized that the money wasn't being transferred at the end of the year and put in that fund.
Well, you could look at your budgets back to where you started and see how much was budgeted each year. And then that's how much we owe that fund, correct?
That's true. I mean, it sounds like it's logical, but was that fund bought forward and used for something else, which it shouldn't have been. And there should be, we took a pretty good chunk of it this year for salaries and wage increases, but there should be plenty there. But when you start knocking it down 3, 5, 6,000 at a time, so that's just something that Keisha will have to look at and see exactly what we've got. And then if he's wanting to, I kind of take it, maybe you're looking at wanting to purchase it and borrow the money to do that if we can't get a grant on it. I know some cities use their CDBG grant for that. But I don't think there's much of a chance we could get that grant for that. The grant that was before was the disaster grant.
Right. Yes, that's kind of what I was looking at, but I was kind of wanting to get ahead of it, Maybe if we could make it another year and then have that 25,000 in there, then you have 50,000, then you have whatever's in that fire fund. And maybe that gets a little bit ahead of the game.
Could you use that 24 that you're getting this year from the county? Could that go toward it?
Yes, it could. Yes.
My suggestions would be you get with Keisha, Mark, and if it was whenever it was transferred over to your account, Meredith should have records of it in your fire department account, and come up with the exact number, how much was, and put it on paper for us so that we know what we're talking about and how much we got and how much we need.
Right. Okay.
So document it per year, and then the extra money, say if you could use this 24,000 this year to go toward it that you get from the county, then that would be a plus. It would get us there quicker.
Right.
Because I'm sure your other account's okay, isn't it?
Yes, it should be. It is.
Okay.
Mark, have you had anyone else be discussing with you or through the other departments that the county is looking to turn all the fire control and all for the county over to the cities? Have you heard anything about that?
I heard that about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago. And the cities was going to try to maybe take out in their planning areas. But I don't believe that developed into anything. Because most cities have it.
I knew I heard a lot about it, but most of it was the Gallatin, Hendersonville, and Goodlettsville areas. So, but what happens down there will eventually come up and get us too.
Right, right. Yeah, I know Gallatin has a large planning area, and they was talking about taking that in, but there's there hasn't been any talk about it lately.
And I know that there was a lot of pushback in the mayor's meetings about it. So I don't think it's been dropped, but it may have just calmed for a little bit. But
Right.
most of the mayors have basically said that they don't have the funding to take care of all the fire control out in the county areas. And what is happening is so many subdivisions are going up outside of the municipalities, and they're expecting to have fire department available for them. And the municipalities are saying, we just can't cover them. So stay tuned, and we'll find out more as that story progresses. So
Right.
you will get those numbers from Keisha and Meredith, and we'll look back at it again next month.
Okay, let me ask you something else. We've been doing the fire hydrants as far as flowing them and testing them. And I think a lot of them need to be painted. But now Public Works says, they didn't have time to do it. So we kind of took it back over. So we make sure it got done. But we was paying our people, and we was just paying them their hourly rate when we was doing hourly rate. So now that we're not doing hourly rates, how do we need to go forward with that?
Volunteer?
Yes, our department people are doing them, so. And we was paying them to do them, so that's, I would like to see that continue, but I don't know how to go forward with that.
So are you flowing them and painting them?
Yes, we was gonna do some painting this year.
Well, what were we paying them what was their hourly rate when they were doing it that way?
It was on a rated scale. Nobody made over $10 an hour.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yep, the council's in agreement. I think they could probably be paid that to do that, or maybe even a little more, to be honest about it.
Right. Maybe 12 or something would probably be fine.
And Mark's a tough negotiator, ain't he?
What do you think?
It needs to be done, Mark. It needs to be done, the flowing and the painting, I agree.
Well, yeah, we don't want to break
It
the
is a
bank.
requirement.
Right.
Yes.
I'm good with it myself, the $12.
Okay, is there something that we need to vote on in a meeting? Go ahead and put it on the agenda,
I don't know.
Keisha, and we'll vote on it, and we'll have a record of it, so as they move forward in the future, they'll know what to do about it.
Right.
Yeah, you need to vote on a regular meeting, or at least have it on the agenda, because this is just a study session, right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Put it on the agenda for the regular meeting.
That's correct. Thank you.
Anything else, Mark?
I think that's all I got.
Okay. Keisha, would you like to hit the highlights of yours next, and also about the extra help at City Hall? I think Well, and we'll just go ahead and hit all of yours while we're talking to you.
Okay. Yeah, we need to get at least some part-time help. We've got right now like a little over 1,800 water customers. And when it comes time to enter all those readings, you know, Debbie can't do it all by herself. So I've been helping her the past several months. Meredith helps when she has time to help. And then another thing that Debbie needs help with is like the tickets. We've had, you know, an increase in those. And she said there's some kind of grant. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But they look at the amount of time that, or the tickets are supposed to be entered into the website within 5 days. And they look at that when they're determining the grant. And she said a lot of times she isn't able to get everything entered within that 5-day period. So we were wanting to, like I said, at least get some part-time help. And then that person, we would also work on training, because another thing with Debbie is she started talking about maybe retiring at the end of the year. So we're going to need someone to fill that position, you know, once she does retire. And then, I mean, ideally we would like to have 3 clerks, but I mean, I know the budget's already been done and everything. We probably can't swing that this year, but maybe look forward to next year doing that. At least some part-time help this year would be as much needed. So that's what I got on that subject.
Okay, I would totally agree with that from working in the office. There's some things that was discussed about, you know, there's just not enough hours in the day and enough time with the finance section and the recording section, with the citations and all that's dealing with the courts now, and with water and sewer increasing, and been what we've been doing for planning and zoning, and also codes, which we will talk about separately shortly. But it is with vacations and time off, PTO and sick time, it is a lot of it's involved. And Frida can speak to it too. She's been behind the desk, and she's got hands-on knowledge and experience of it. And I'll turn it over to her now.
Well, I totally agree with both of you, Mayor, you and Keisha both. And we do need to get, and I know Debbie is looking at retiring. I don't know when, but she is. And then we never know when somebody's going to be out for an extended period of time due to sickness or family sickness. So I say we put it on the agenda to maybe vote to advertise for a part-time person. And you all, Keisha, make up, decide when you need them in the job requirements. And then also with the thought behind it that it could become full-time if need be.
Sounds good. And Debbie is also out right now for like 4 to 6 weeks. She had a knee replacement yesterday. So we've got Kelly filling in for her right now, which is a blessing because, you know, she can handle everything and we're not having to teach her. So that's definitely helping out a lot.
But we need to get somebody in there as the part-time employee, you know, for the long haul. And Debbie did speak with me before she went in for her knee surgery, and she was really expressing, you know, how her workload, well, all of you, but especially the job requirements that she does is really, really increasing, and she is stretched to her max.
Yes.
And it seems like lately, cutoff day and court day has all been the same day. And
yes.
that is just a tremendous burden for sure.
I got a question. One time, I thought Amanda Wolf was going to help some. I mean, is that still not an option to help?
Amanda can help. She's good with, answering the phones and everything. She's not comfortable doing the money. Doing the balance in the drawer out, accounting for everything. That's just, she doesn't like really doing that at all.
So is she being used any in that capacity? Because that was the intention when
right. She was being used up until, I guess, the first outbreak of Corona, when we closed the office. We told her we didn't need her because, we didn't have people coming in. And then, she's had some family sickness herself. But, I mean, we can look at getting her. Like I said, she's just very uncomfortable in that setting. And it's my understanding that when that was, discussed, no one told her, like Ray didn't go back and tell her, hey, you're going to be filling in at City Hall and doing this stuff. It was just, it's like, hey, go up to City Hall. They need you. Like the day of. So, yeah.
So, Keisha, well, I know that all of you all has expressed your concern to me, and I don't know about to the rest of the council members or the mayor, but you just really don't think she's going to work out for that position. Is that right?
Right. Like I said, she has a really hard time. I mean, like, even doing and she's making out the deposit slip. I'm sorry, what?
And she's admitted it herself that she don't think she can.
What did you say, Ms. Frida?
I said she has also admitted herself, Amanda has, that she can work out.
Yeah. Like I said, she's just not comfortable at all.
Property maintenance takes a lot of time. It's so much contacting and letter writing and follow up. And y'all know, we'll talk about it here in a few minutes, but that's takes a lot of time right there.
That is true. And why don't we go ahead and discuss some of that before we move on to Keisha's next item, because this is something that we need to discuss, and it may help tell us how we want to move forward on this. I did receive, of course, the council made the decision that they wanted to pursue discussions of the permitting and codes with the Sumner County Codes Department. And I have a contract. I don't know if Keisha sent it to everyone where you have the opportunity to look at it or not. But if not, then I would like for her to get it sent to all of our council members so that you can look at it and the wording of it. Mr. Bradley has already looked at it. I wanted him to review it before we send it to any of the council members, and he has put his stamp of approval on it. So the highlights of it is they will, as we discussed, take all of our permitting money, and that will pay their fees. There was a couple of items in there that I was concerned about. One was if they weren't able to collect their money, then the city would assist them in collecting it. So, there's some things to hash out before, in my opinion, before it's voted on, but I need you to get a copy of that possibly with your packet so you can review it, and we'll discuss it at the next work study session. Okay, I know there is a lot of questions that has come up about property maintenance and different things like that. So if you want to have a discussion on that right now, it's time for us to bring it up.
Yeah, that's kind of one of my pet peeves. I did look on Park Street today, And I only saw 3 trash cans one place and 1 trash can another. The trash can on the corner is gone. I think we can thank you, Mayor, for that. I haven't seen it, and I don't know what they did with it, but that's not really that bad. I think we've got some of that cleaned up, but kind of expanding from that is trash cans, and it's very specific. 17-104, very specific. You do not leave your trash cans on the street. It's unsightly, and a lot of people leave them sitting there, and it overflows, and it's just a collection. It's just a collection place. The thing and my understanding is, if somebody did that, you know, they could be given a warning, and I don't know if that's the right word or not, and then they have 20 days to fix whatever they're cited for. And then if they don't do that, then they would be summoned into court. Does that sound about right, the protocol on dealing with this kind of stuff?
I haven't read the code lately to refresh my memory on it, but it does sound like I remember seeing something in it where it does say that it should be moved back. I know one of my concerns is a lot of people keep their cans out of the road in some kind of an enclosure that is, you know, to keep the animals out of it. And I don't know if the code addresses that or not. And as far as the alleyways, some of the businesses that are on Park Street, is my understanding, they do not really have back doors. So that's why it's out in the front the way that it is. Now, what we've got to try to do is coordinate with those businesses to see, and I guess this is what happened with the one you was talking about at the corner, because I don't know where it went to, but I'm guessing that we've got to coordinate and communicate with business owners and the people up and down Park Street of the concern, so that if they have a place on the inside to pull it in or pull it to the back or whatever, you know, I'm not in favor of writing them warning tickets or anything because they haven't got their can back. It needs to be discussed with them first. And
right.
I mean, you know, they're paying taxes and they're paying for this collection, and for us to beat them over the head is just not a good thing. I mean, we need to be polite and ask them. It's kind of like the mask mandate. We see what kind of a hurdle that's been for the past 2 to 3 weeks, and you know, it's a slow process, but people, you know, people are coming around with it. You know, I even have mine here, but I'm not worried about giving coronavirus to the computer, so I don't worry about it tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you on working with the merchants there. Here's what it says in 17-104: as soon as practical, after such containers have been emptied, they shall be removed by the owner to within or to the rear of his premises and away from the street line until the next scheduled time for collection. So while we're talking about property maintenance, Amanda's contacting people I know. I see stuff. I see she's getting things mowed. The field behind the Dream Center, that grass is 2 foot high. There's kids that play right beside of that. And I know the people that mow the lot down there, they ran over a snake. So it's really a safety issue, and we need to, in this case, we need to hold the property owners responsible to keep their property mowed.
Is that not what Amanda is doing?
Well, she's trying, I'm sure.
I know that there are several inside the city that are like that.
Right. Of course, we don't have a report tonight. She's been giving us a report, so we kind of know what's on the radar, but we don't ever know if she's just called them or actually where it is. But yeah, she's working on it. Maybe we'll get a report next month.
Also, on your property at the end of the walking track, there was a gentleman in City Hall yesterday that was possibly looking for a place to purchase and renovate or build new on. So I sent him to him. So while we're discussing the cans on Park Street, do you want to try to make any change in the code to address that, or how do you want to move forward on that?
No, let's just, I think communications, not just Park Street, but I think communications, that we need to tell all our citizens what we expect of them, you know, because it's unsightly and it runs over. There's one place got 6 trash cans. They never move them. They're all time. So I just think we need to communicate it, Keisha. If you could put that on Facebook and the new website, just explain to them we'd like the cooperation to help us out on that. I'm not ready to change anything, Mayor, at this point in time.
Okay, any other concerns or comments?
Couldn't Amanda go around to each one of the businesses there on Park Street, or any business if they're violating the codes, and just talk with them first and tell them what, some of them may not know the codes, and just warn them, tell them of the codes and that it needs to be cleaned up, you know, according to our city codes.
Well, maybe she could make a copy of it, and as she goes around, pass it out, and then they would have exactly what the council's looking at.
Well, while Mr. Bradley is here on with us, sometimes she gets pushback because the store owners say they own the sidewalk. He might elaborate on that, or maybe he just I don't know. We've had that before. It's my sidewalk and I'll put my trash can on it if I want to. So, Mr. Bradley, you got any comments?
I think, you know, we can let the city judge decide if they're right or wrong on that. I mean, you've got an ordinance that says those trash cans are to be moved. And if they choose not to move them, I don't care whose property it's on, you know, that's a violation of the city ordinance. So if they refuse that, I think Amanda could certainly cite them into city court.
Since Amanda is not on the meeting, doesn't someone need to discuss what we're speaking about with her? Is she still under the police chief's authority?
She's actually watching. She just texted me and said that she gave her monthly report to Garrett, but I never got a copy, so I'm guessing he didn't email it to y'all either. But she is watching, so she knows what's going on here.
Okay, good.
Okay. I didn't get a copy of the report either, so as far as I know, probably no one did. Okay, Keisha, we'll move forward now with discussion of quarantining the employees, and move into that discussion of pay for employees, and trying to put some resolution with that. I will say that Keisha has been working on 2 separate grants now, trying to get some resolution on that, but the wording of it at this point is kind of tricky. Mr. Bradley was going to try to check and see back in March, I guess the Congress legislated that there would be to pay for employees that were off during a quarantine, but we don't know if that expired June 1st with the other things or not. So there's a lot of
no, Mayor, that's true. That's good through the end of December, and it's you get up to 2 weeks of paid sick leave. The question is whether or not Westmoreland is subject to that, because Westmoreland, I don't think Westmoreland has more than 50 employees. And so there's some exemptions for smaller entities, although it appears that it covers all public employers. But I'm going to be working with MTAS on that to get an answer. Just in case you didn't hear any of the numbers today, the numbers were horrible in Tennessee today. We had 42 new deaths and 108 new hospitalizations. Both of those, I believe, are records since this all started. So we cannot in any way minimize the threat of this disease. And all of our employees have to be careful. We don't want to talk about any names of any employees, but certainly while they're at work, they can still socially distance. Certainly picking up garbage, you can socially distance. And also wear masks when you're not able to do that. And we need to do everything we can to get compliance with that. It's the law. It's a misdemeanor not to do it in Sumner County. And it's fined by up to a year in jail and $2,500. So, like I said, I can't overemphasize the importance of us taking this thing seriously. And if you've got employees that think they have been exposed, they can be tested free at the Portland Health Clinic and Sumner County Health Clinic in Portland. And I would encourage them. I don't think you can force them to take that test. The other thing, what other cities are doing, just so you know, is once someone has tested positive, and I'm not sure if your employee tested positive or just had the symptoms, but once someone has tested positive, most places are not allowing them to return to the workplace until they get a negative test. Now, sometimes that can get ridiculous because there are documented cases of people who have gone for many weeks without getting a negative test and show no symptoms. So it's something you have to take on a case-by-case basis. But certainly, initially, you'd want someone to be tested at the end of a week or 10 days, and hopefully they would have a negative test. So we're still working on the issues about how you pay them. So far, I don't think you've had a lot of people that have to miss a lot of time because of this. But if it continues to worsen, that's going to be something we have to deal with.
I spoke with the director of the health department today, and he echoed basically that. He said that they could continue to work, but need to wear a mask, need to wear gloves, need to socially distance and use good hygiene. So just follow all the regular rules. And it seems like even in places where it's more serious than what we have, as long as they're following those rules, there's been no problem.
Yeah, Keisha, have we, and you may be working on this, do we have a protocol for the employees? If you have the cough, fever, or whatever, to contact you, contact the mayor, and here's step 1, step 2, because people don't deal with it. They don't know what to do. So I would, if you don't have that, I'd recommend a procedure and all the employees be covered from all employees, policemen and everybody.
Right. We don't actually have anything like in writing or anything. We just, encountered this past week. I did give every department a thermometer and told them, to do temperature checks. But I mean, if, they've got like 99.7, I mean, do we send them? Or I know some places it's only if they have a temperature of like over 100 point something. I mean, we need some kind of, like you said, some kind of protocol in writing. That way we're all on the same page and know what's going on.
Right.
Most of your government buildings in Sumner County, including the courthouse, Hendersonville City Hall, I believe Portland, I'm not sure about Portland, and the fire halls, police stations, all those places are, and even voting today, everyone's having to give a temperature check before they're allowed into those facilities. So it's good that you've distributed those thermometers to your department heads, and they need to use them every day. And the protocol would probably be if you come in at over 100 degrees, you might want to go home and take a day off and see how you're doing. It could just be a cold, but it could also be something worse. It's just something we've got to be very careful about monitoring so you don't get a lot of people infected.
I thought the threshold was 100.2, but I was informed today it was 100.4. Headaches, aches, chills, things like that were the symptoms of it they were looking for, and including the cough. So we've been watching for that, and employees have been contacting their supervisor. In the absence of the supervisor, they've been going to either to Keisha or myself. So and as the mayor so far, I've been making a call on things and working closely with the health department and following their guidelines and CDC guidelines on things.
I was checked 3 times today, 3 different locations, and I was always 98 degrees, so I guess I'm okay.
We had one employee go to one of the health clinics around here. He brought me back a letter that said that to excuse him from work until his test results are back, which could take 10 to 14 days. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. He's like, if I have to stay home, am I going to get paid? And
these have to be done on a case by case basis. If he's not symptomatic, I don't see a reason he can't work and stay away from other people.
Okay.
I mean, that's not a decision that the health department makes or some doctor makes.
right.
You have to do that based on what the results are and what the symptoms are. So I'd be very careful with that. And you can't just say, well, your doctor said this, so we'll see you in a month and we're going to pay you in the meantime.
Right. And it was just a standard letter. They just, it has a place for the date and a place for the name, and the rest of it's typed up, and they just hand wrote the date and the name. So I'm assuming they're just giving it out to anyone who comes and gets a test.
My question would be, how many times do you get to do that? Let's say you get tested now, and 4 weeks later, oh, I gotta get tested again.
Right.
Him again for 2 weeks. That's something that
The guidelines do not look just at test results. They look also at whether you're asymptomatic or not. And the main thing is following the guidelines about social distancing and masks and washing your hands. Most of the jobs, certainly in the public works department, which I've heard is one of the ones that's affected here potentially, are jobs that don't have to be done with people hugging each other or coming very close to each other. They can be spread out. And we just have to be smart about it. And I know everybody wants to work, everybody wants to get a paycheck. Well, if you're smart about it, you should be able to do that. And if someone's sick and got the disease, then that's something where we've got sick leave to deal with that. So that's my 2 cents worth, Mayor.
And actually, when the council changed the policies and procedures year before last, that was one of the things that was in it, that if you're out and you can use sick leave or vacation time, PTO as such. So that is how our official policy reads. So I'm following what the health department has said, and I've learned a lot of things about it in the last couple of days. It's really interesting when you talk to Dr. Lifford and some of them to get their take on things. So I believe that we're progressing okay, and if we get this grant, and that will definitely help us out. But in the first round of grants that was open, we kept a good total and a line running on those. So kudos to her. She's doing a great job keeping up with all of that. And when somebody asks her to do something and she says, I can't really get to it right now, she's being honest. She's got her hands full, because I've been working on a lot of this stuff hours at a time at home behind the computer. So it's a lot going on for sure, and I feel for my council members that work in the schools also. I just can't imagine what all that you're involved in things. Okay, we'll move on now. Tony Bennell has put on the new truck and the track hoe. We have the trailer purchase. Oh, yes, John.
Is there any question for me? If not, I'm going to sign off. Anybody got anything else on the agenda? Everybody okay? I'll let you talk about your truck without me. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, John.
Stay
Appreciate
safe.
you joining us and helping us out tonight.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, I was saying that the trailer has been purchased, and Aaron asked about what date that he could purchase the truck and maybe the mini excavator, and I advised him that we needed to because the council did not set, most projects like that are distributed when the budget is distributed and a quarter is put in when that money can be funded and spent. It has been funded by way of a budget, but I had asked Aaron to wait at least until October when we had some property tax money coming in and see how we were doing as such in this year's budget cycle before he purchased that. And he is actually still at this time is checking on how do I say it? He is still looking at equipment and checking it out. So with that, he still hasn't made a decision on the Mini X, so which one he wants to purchase. There's several on the state contract, but Tony, I don't know if that answers any of the questions that you had in mind, but go ahead.
Well, it's not unusual to have something in the budget, and a large item like this, you could vote on it later on. So it looks like we can put it off for another 30 days or so. We're moving forward on it. The main thing, we just need, because it takes a year to get this stuff. And I'm just trying to get it in the system as soon as we could, so.
I just want clarification. The truck we're referencing, was this a dump truck? Or what?
No, it was just a regular pickup truck. And it is in the budget and it has been voted on and it's on state contract. So really that doesn't even have to come back to the council. And the Mini X that he wants to purchase is will be on state contract also.
Okay.
It's just he's just got to figure out which one he wants.
Okay.
And Mr. Dolly is on with us if we want to let him go next.
Hi, Chief. Welcome to the meeting.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, go ahead and unmute.
Unmute.
Okay.
Tell us what's happening.
I don't know what happened, but I got muted. I agree with you in the general fund on the property taxes. We would have to wait for spending after October when they started coming in. But these items were funded through water and sewer. So that's a different ballgame.
Right.
They don't depend on property tax for their revenue.
Right, and the money is there. We've got money on hand. If the truck, if he knows what he wants on the truck, we could go ahead and act on that anyway.
Well, and the way I look at it, we're really just a month off from that. So by the time he makes his decision and puts the order in for it, it's covered.
Okay.
I guess one decision that the council did not make on it, and hopefully there's enough money in there to take care of it, be any extended warranties.
I think we do that on all our vehicles, don't we?
We've kind of done it on a case-by-case basis, but it's always paid off for us.
I think so.
Okay, we'll move on now to Mr. Jolly. Chief, we're glad to have you with us tonight. We welcome you to the city of Westmoreland and look forward to having you come on board with us.
Thank you. I'm excited about it.
So the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to thank all of you for your warm welcoming that you gave me during my interview. And as I said, I am excited about the opportunity. I got my Metro Police retired detective badge yesterday, so it's pretty much official. I'm just trying to wrap up an investigation that I'm working on. I'm going to have a big event on Wednesday of next week that you may see on the news. I can't get into details about it, but we got the FBI involved, and it's going to be a large operation out of county. And I'm hoping that I'll get some results and some answers, some much wanted answers after a long time investigating this case. So I'm praying and crossing the fingers and all that. So I'm trying to wrap everything up here so that I can get up there and get going with things. I have been in touch with a few of the officers, or a couple of them, I should say, and they've asked about a couple of issues. And I think that I think it's just going to be a matter of, once I get up there and settled in, we'll obviously need to hire some people, and I think we'll get the manpower back up. I think everything's going to be great. I've expressed to those that I've talked to that I'm an open door type person, and I want to always be able to get feedback from everyone within the department to find out what they're seeing out in the field. And as I work up there, obviously I'm going to see it too, but find out what they need and what things are going well for the department and what things might need some tweaking or some improvement, and try to work with them to get the things done that need to be done to make sure that we've got an excellent department. Just because we're going to be a small department doesn't mean we can't be an excellent small department. So that's really just what I wanted to be able to tell everybody. I appreciate it. I've been doing law enforcement for 26 years, and I've always kind of wanted to get back close to home. And so now I'm going to be 16 miles from home, and it's going to be so nice. And, you know, I plan on staying there until I get to where I can't do it anymore. So hopefully another good 15 years or better. So as long as my health stays up. So I hope you'll be seeing a lot of me for a long time.
Well,
That's my plan.
we pray that you will stay healthy, and we look forward to you being able to take care of some of those same cases right here in the Westmoreland and Northern Suffolk County area.
Yes, sir.
There's no shortage of crime anywhere in the state of Tennessee. So
that is true.
Let me ask you something. We've got several positions that are open in our police department. Did Sergeant Whitty talk to you about some of those vacancies?
Yes, he has spoken to me about some.
I had a gentleman that contacted me last night, said that he would be willing to come to Westmoreland, and he's ready to start right away. And Mr. Whitty was supposed to discuss it with you today, and I haven't heard anything back. So I didn't want to bring anything up. Would you prefer that we wait till you got on board before the council did any hiring, or would you have any suggestions on that?
No, sir. I really, as much as I'd love to be a part of it, because I can't be there right now, I think the important thing is I trust your decisions on, I'm sure you're not going to want anybody working for the city, especially in that capacity, that's not well qualified and a good person to be there. So I have no problem with that at all. So if you have some good candidates and you want to move forward with them, that'd be great. That's no problem with me at all.
With you saying that, I'll just go ahead and bring it out in the discussion now. And if the council wants to put it on the agenda, they can. There's two things that have happened. We have our part-time are limited to 29 hours. And once they go over that 29, 30-hour threshold, if they continually do that, then we need to make either arrangements with them to know that they're not going to be paid benefits, or we need to go ahead and classify them as a full-time employee, which is, I think, basically 32 hours, or as the county, Sumner County has stated now over 29 hours. So we're trying to follow the same rules. So we have one officer, Mr. Bellavia, who has now, I think he's in his third week of going over the 29 hours. So the council needs to look at that. I'm not sure. I've not talked to him. The last time that I spoke with him, he didn't express any interest in becoming a full-time officer, but I'm just throwing this information out there so that the council is fully aware, and we're being fully transparent that he is putting in quite a bit of time. The next officer that is classified as a part-time officer now, and expressed that he would be willing to come back full-time, and I don't know if he's spoken with council members or what, but he did tell me he spoke with Mr. Flatt, and I think he's got a rapport going with Chief Jolly now, is our former chief, Ray Alcamontano. So I wanted to get your input on that, and if that is something that the council is interested in, and if Chief Jolly is interested in, that can be put on the agenda, and we'll see what happens. Chief Jolly, your thoughts?
Yes, sir. I have not spoken directly with him. He did text me, and apparently by the time I got back to try to call him, he'd probably been sleeping because he worked the midnight shift. But I did speak with Ken about it, and I assume and everything that I heard before that you all as the council were happy with him, enough so that he was working as a part-time. So if he would like to come back, I'd love to have him. I think it'd be great.
Okay, I think right now, Mr. Flatt had him assigned as like a part-time detective. He's been doing a lot of the background work and things like that, and answering calls as need be. What's council members think about it? Chime in and tell me what's on your mind.
I talked to Ray this evening, and I'm good with it, and he's ready to make the move as soon as possible. So I think put it on the agenda for next week or next meeting would be a good thing.
I'm good with it. Are you recommending both of them, Mayor?
No, I'm not making any recommendations. I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah.
I think each one of us council members received a text from Ray late this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. I know I read one, and I think everybody else was included. And,
Yes.
and I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
If Portland's not working out for him. Go ahead, Doug. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say we did receive that text, and I was very excited to hear that. We've all grown to love Chief Ray, and I think he'll make a valuable partner with Chief Jolly, because he's got that experience to show Chief Jolly the things he doesn't know yet. There's a learning curve to everything, and I know Chief Jolly knows that better than anybody. And so I think it'll be really good, and he's, I think he's excited about it. So I'm very excited to hear about this opportunity for him to come back, and I know Chief Jolly will be excited too, because he's gonna be a good person to be on his side to help him.
Yeah, as I'm looking at the sheet here now, we have we're budgeted for 8 officers and 1 chief, which gives a total of 9. And if I'm looking at it, just a quick glance of it, we're short a minimum of 3 full-time officers right now. So it's good that we have people that are interested and people that do know the history and what is happening in Westmoreland. So just like Chief Jolly said, we want to make an excellent department, and just like she said, just because it's small doesn't mean we can't have an excellent format to move forward. So and that's what this is all about, is building a good department for our city, and I think it's a good move. I wasn't making a recommendation, but I think it is a good move. As far as Officer Bellavia, like I said, I haven't heard anything from him. I guess he's enjoying his regular job at this point, but I haven't heard anything from him that's expressed an interest in being full-time. So we will continue to utilize him, and he is a big help to us. So this one question, as we put it on the agenda, and we can wait until the meeting to discuss it, Mr. Flatt is still listed as record as our detective. So with Ray being listed as a detective officer and part-time officer, do we want to leave that and just put full-time officer or detective / full-time officer? How do you want to list that officially?
Or is that question for me, sir?
I was just throwing it out to anyone.
Throwing it out?
who
Okay.
responds.
I'll put in my, if Mr. Flatt is going to leave, then Ray obviously could come in and fill that spot as full-time, but I don't know what Mr. Flatt's intentions are. If he'd like to stay, that'd be awesome, because obviously we need people, so.
Correct.
Yeah, we can discuss that at the meeting that night.
Okay, we'll get that on the agenda then. Any other questions or comments or concerns for Chief Jolly before we move on to the next set?
Chief Jolly, I'd just like to say welcome to Westmoreland again. And would you have any officers in mind that you could persuade to come to Westmoreland that you're familiar with?
There's one individual that actually is in a dating relationship with someone that lives up there that at some point may be interested, but I don't know a lot of officers that live that far north in the county that it would be advantageous for them. But I think that once I get up there, if we have some officers that live near there that are interested in retiring, I've got a feeling some people may reach out to me in the future. So
okay,
that's
good.
certainly going to be a possibility.
Good.
Very good. Okay, well, we thank you, and if you want to continue to be with us, that's great. But if you need to leave, we understand that too.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. You've been very, very welcoming, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Leaf, you have a renaming of the rock building on there. You had asked that be tabled before, so
Yeah, I just want to keep it on the front burner. I don't want to forget about it. If our next meeting is not going to be Zoomed, which I don't know if it will be or not, I'd like to take care of it then. I'd rather not do it on a Zoom, but I want to make sure it gets done.
well, and I think from what I've received, what is the last date? August the 28th, Executive Order 51 extends to. So I'm expecting that the next meeting will continue to be Zoom, according to what I've been told.
Okay.
Okay.
And also, I spoke with Mr. Fallbush this week, and I even offered if he wanted to do a ceremony up by the gazebo or something, and he wants to continue to postpone that until the council does go back in house. He was very excited that the council had done that for him.
Who's that? I didn't understand.
The gentleman that went into the burning house over on Road Road to rescue that family, get them up.
Okay.
So yeah, I spoke with him yesterday. He's very excited about it, but he agreed with exactly what you said. He wanted to wait until his friends and all could be there to cheer him on.
Okay.
Okay, we previously deferred the rezoning of Mill Street. Patricia Hawk sent me a message today. I don't know if she sent it to any of the other council members or not, but she was afraid that we were going to be bringing it up for a vote tonight and possibly the public hearing. And I assured her that neither one of those were going to happen. But she said that she had almost been hit, I believe she said 3 times in the last week on that street. I know Councilman Bennell has expressed some concern about the rezoning. And I told him that really I don't think the rezoning so much is a part of the problem as the street is the problem. So we'll open that back up for discussion, and I don't really see that you want to put it back on the agenda for the next meeting if we're going to be doing it Zoom once again, because I think
Right.
there's going to be a lot said about it.
Yeah, I've got about 3 emails myself, I believe, that's opposing that going in there or changing to rezone it.
Okay, any other comments on it? If we're going to do any paving or street repairs, that may be one that you want to look at moving toward the top of the list.
I know that the contractor they mentioned that even if we couldn't rezone, that he may go forward with a project that's within the zoning limitations. I believe that there is a plan to do something with that property. And that being said, I mean, you're going to continue that's only going to add at least a single family, I assume. I'm not really sure what it would look like if he continues to build an infrastructure on that property without a rezoning. But I think something needs to be done about the road. It's a very narrow road. And even though it's a dead end, so we do need to put that somewhere at the top of our list, because I believe that we're going to have to widen it somehow or another, because it's definitely a need.
Are we going to have to dip into our rainy day fund a little bit to do some more paving?
Well, I don't know. We're probably at our limits on that, so we're probably looking at purchasing right away to be able to do anything else with it too. So that's definitely going to be something we probably need to get Caldwell engineers involved in.
Well, there's other, East Border Street is terrible. If you hadn't driven up there, there's 6, 7 houses up there, and you need a 4-wheel drive. Actually, it's awful. So it's right from the old elementary school. Just that East Border Street is bad. Well,
you could just about write a book of all the bad streets in Westmoreland. I've called them off many times: Ray Street, Moreland Circle, Borders, East Borders, West Borders. Of course, Sumner Drive's already on the list. Stevens, Carter, Green, Johns. The list just goes on. And it's like I said, I'd hate to borrow $1 million, but I believe if we borrowed $1 million and paved what we could pave in Westmoreland, that $1 million, it would pay off in the long run.
I think we could put every road, maybe except City Park Road. We could put every road, and maybe Coleytown. We could put all the roads in Westmoreland on that list, every one of them.
That is true.
I agree.
But it takes money and it takes funds. So we're going to have to come up with a plan to fund this, and we're going to have to do it quick, because we're talking about it, and the roads are getting worse and worse and worse. So I don't know the answer, but we need to come up with a solution some way, somehow.
You won't get an argument from anyone on that.
Yeah, wasn't the one of the streets the last time we had a paved street, wasn't that money borrowed?
The last 2 that were paved, the money was borrowed.
So that seems to be the going rate to get it accomplished. I mean, unless someone can tell me another way to accomplish it, it seems like borrowing money is the only way. I hate to say that.
Well, used to, the old program was that you borrowed $100,000 and you would pave whatever $100,000 would take care of paving. And then that was paid back over a 10-year note. And then once that note was paid back, another $100,000 was borrowed, and the same thing happened. Well, a few years back, then it was decided that the $100,000 would be borrowed, and we would put money from the city coffers to 50,000 to match it and paved. And then after that, then there was even more money that was borrowed. So now we actually have two notes that are, one of them we just took last year. You may have even been on the council when we finally finalized that note, because we ran into so much trouble with the comptroller's office getting approval to do it. So we actually have two notes now that is active.
But somebody's mentioned to me a bond issue, and I don't know enough about it to discuss it, but it just mentioned to me to do a bond. Can you educate us on that a little bit, Mayor, what that would encounter, what that means?
Well, if it's like bond issues from other things where we've got rural development has sold bonds to put in water lines. We've done that before. And if you go to your audit, then it shows where what the bonds are. Now, a lot of the bond issues, as you float the bonds, bid the bonds, and apply for them, depends very much on the city's credit rating and all of that. So you have to get a lot more folks that's involved in it.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've done in the past, we've just called the comptroller's office and asked for permission to borrow. But you know, when you get into monies like that, and I don't know if it's still available, but at one time, Heathcote and Davis said that there was an actual grant that you could get at, I think it was like at 0% interest for 10 years, and you could borrow up to $1 million. But I don't know, since coronavirus, if that's still a viable option or if it got pulled, because I've not heard any more about it.
Thank you.
Who can we inquire about that information, Mr. Mayor, about that type of loan?
I would say it would probably be one of the financial attorneys somewhere. We can ask some questions. Frida may have more input on this than I do, but I know that some of the firms, the attorneys that do closings for some of it, but I imagine that there are financial advisors that have that information available. I don't know what the expense is of checking it out, but you know, and they may do it if you know, if you voted to move forward on it. If it was approved, they may do the, you know, just like a grant, they may do the upfront work first, but then you still have to pay it back.
Are you speaking on the bonds, Mayor, or the money that Heathcote was talking about?
Bonds.
Okay.
Bonds.
I was going to ask about
a bond issue.
Yeah, I wanted to inquire about the money that Heathcote.
Yes,
was
that's what I thought.
Oh, okay. I can check with them and see if they can tell us if any of it's still available. You know, they might can steer us in the direction on it.
We're gonna have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and again, I just want to reiterate, if we, you know, the last two times we had, or the last roads that were paved has been accomplished by borrowing money. And no other road has been paved other than borrowing money.
When our Sumner Drive is going to be.
Right. But that hasn't happened yet.
No.
So I'm just kind of, just the ones that we have accomplished is what I'm going by. So,
right.
But the amount of roads that are so in need in our city, you know, we're just kind of getting behind further and further, and we've got to make a decision at some point whether we have to go and borrow some money to get it accomplished, or we've got to come up with a plan where we're going to be able to actually take a list and just go down that list each fiscal year, budget year, and try to accomplish as many of them as we can, and just squeeze everything we can out of the budget to get it accomplished. I don't know that there's a right way. It's going to be some tough choices to make no matter what. But again, they're just further deteriorating. Ms. Frida said that well. Nothing's being done about it, and we're all ready for a better road system, and we deserve it. The taxpayers deserve it, and people coming through the town. There's a lot of folks that travel these roads that don't live in Westmoreland. And so it's not just the citizens that are using these roads.
And what's so complicated about it, and a lot of their citizens don't understand, when they're saying we need this road paved, and I totally agree with them. They're exactly right. And I listen to them, but that is such a costly expense to the city that we don't have, like the mayor said, we probably did the rainy day fund as far as we can go with it. And we just don't have that type of money laying around unless you are doing the borrowing process, which you got to have money to cover that each budget to make the payment too as well. But so
right.
I don't have a good answer, but we need to come up with a good plan soon.
Yeah, our debt service, with us borrowing more money, obviously it's going up more every year. And, you can't gain enough revenue from the street aid fund to do much paving. Breda, how long have we been putting money back now for these paving projects, but like the Sumner Drive project, 4 years or 5 years?
No, I
putting money back into that fund to help fund. We've been putting a little bit back every year.
I think we did the majority of it in the last 2 or 3 years on expenditures in our budget that we didn't need the money for. I can't think of a line item right off the top of my head, but there has been a line item in the budget and we didn't use the money. So we designated that for the next budget year to use it, bring it forward in the fund balance and use it for the paving. Is how we've handled it.
And we used quite a bit of it last year for the dump truck purchase. So that was probably money. If we had used it, we could have put it toward paving.
That dump truck came from that extra income money we got in general fund. Remember the 9,000?
Well, the 30,000 that we put back, or the 40,000 that we had put back, and that could have been put toward paving the street, but we purchased. You've got to have them both. So
right.
You can't spread salt, and you can't clean ditches, and you can't do those things if you don't have a dump truck.
And that dump truck was getting dangerous to operate.
It was. Okay, I will call these folks and try to find out about that. Is there anything that I've missed? Okay, we'll go back and do a recap on the agenda. Time for water cutoff to be changed. Help at City Hall. Putting Ray Alfamontano on the agenda to be hired as a full-time person for the police department.
The hourly rate on the firemen to pay them for the painting and flushing the fire hydrants.
Okay. What else am I missing?
The contract with Sumner County.
Okay, we don't want to vote on that. We want you to get the contract to everyone so we can discuss it at the next work study.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
I
Okay.
do have, there's a grant that's opening up in a few weeks, the driver safety grant. I think I mentioned it a few months ago. When we applied for this last year, I believe Ray's the one that actually did all the paperwork. He applied asking for computers for like driving school. And when I was reading this, it looks like it's for us to purchase something that's going to help our drivers, like our employees, I guess, drive safer. Like if we wanted to do some kind of training, or if we needed backup cameras or alarms and stuff like that. So I don't know if we need any of that stuff. I guess I can get with Aaron and see what he thinks.
Question, do our employees go through defensive driving every year?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, they should. They drive company vehicles, and I would think that would be a time well spent in the classroom, refreshing them and making sure, they're using all everything safety. Even the
Okay.
fire department, Mark's people drive vehicles too. That's the thought that we would put them through defensive driving.
Okay. Well, it says like an item that would qualify would be instructor-led training or DVD training. So I guess we could look into doing one of those and for everyone that drives a company vehicle.
Yes, we do Vanessa
Teachers-
K training every year.
You do, Mark?
Yes, we have 3 instructors on the department.
Good deal. They do live training, they use the videos, or a combination?
A combination. First day's classroom or the morning's classroom, and the evening is actual driving.
Okay. Who's doing our driver training? When somebody gets a ticket, who's doing that training?
Right now it's Officer Lauper. He's the one that teaches driving school on Saturdays.
Okay.
Keisha, is this grant you're talking about, is it different than the highway safety grant that the police department applies for?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? It was breaking up.
This grant that you're speaking of, is it different than the one that the police department applies for the highway safety grant?
No, I think it's the same thing, but like I said, when I pulled the one from last year, it said that they wanted to buy computers for driving school. But it says that it's training needs and safety concerns for employees that operate city vehicles. So I don't see how, driving school computers for that. And that's for people that, had got tickets and stuff, not actual employees.
The grant that you're talking about, is it TML?
Public entity partners, yes.
Partners, okay.
Yes.
I think the highway safety grant is a separate grant.
I think it is too.
Yeah, so
And-
it sounds like you're on the right track of what we need to use it for. So I would say, yes, we do need to apply for it. And if we need to vote on a resolution from that, when it comes to light, we can do that and apply.
Okay. I think it opens up like after the council meeting, because it says the 24th. So as soon as it opens up, I'll apply for it and put that we'll send the resolution when it passes in September. And they should be okay with that.
Okay.
but I'll put that we're gonna use it for training, driver training.
Okay, other thoughts or concerns before we close?
Good meeting.
Okay, everyone have a good night. We appreciate your attendance and we appreciate everyone watching tonight. I've been overwhelmed at the number of people that are calling and discussing our meetings. We never had that much attendance in-house. So good work, everybody. We'll talk to you later and have a good evening.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.